Lillian carried a pot of cold tea in the hot afternoon sun. She called for people to come patronize her and buy her tea as she moved from house to house. After selling her tea, Lillian would retire to the old dilapidated building where she lives, and the circle continued. Beside the building is another building filled with tenants. Tito lives here with her husband and two kids. They had just moved into the compound when her husband got a job in a paper making factory in the next street. Lillian is well known around the vicinity as the cold sea seller. Her cold tea is loved and enjoyed by many as they often commend her for her tea making skills. One afternoon, Lillian was out selling tea when a thug asked her to sell tea for his friend, but he refused to pay her after she sold all her tea. He asked Lillian to leave, threatening to beat her if she doesn't. "I'll pay you tomorrow. You can go now," the thug yelled at her, chasing her away like a dog. Lillian explained that she doesn't have any money to make tea for the next day. "I don't have money to make tea tomorrow. Can you at least pay me some of the money?" Lillian asked pleadingly, but the thug asked her to leave before he changed his mind. He called her a thief and a murderer who killed her father, and he cursed after her as she ran off with tears streaming down her face. As she walked home with quick steps, she could not stop thinking about the events that led to her father's death almost a decade ago. She also did not know how to raise money for her tea business for the next day. At the same time, Tito was coming back from school holding her two kids as they walked along the street. Tito greeted Lillian but noticed that she was moody and did not respond. She asked Lena what happened to all the tea she was carrying minutes ago, and Lillian explained how the thugs took her tea and her source of livelihood. "I know I'm being punished for the evil I did in the past. Even God cannot forgive me," Lillian said amid sobs. Tito did not understand what she meant by that, but she did not bother to ask questions seeing her present state. She offered some comforting words and asked Lillian to give her some minutes as they go to her house. "Wait here, I'll be right back," Tito said as she rushed inside the apartment. She brought out some bundles of money and asked her to use it for her business the next day. Lillian was surprised. She asked Tito why she was kind to her. "I have never received this kind of help in my life, and that is because I'm not a good person. Please take back the money. I can't take it." Lillian dropped the money and ran off. She also dropped the empty bucket she used to sell her tea, and Tito wondered what was happening. She ran after her to give her back the bucket, but she locked the door to her room before Tito could reach her. Tito stood there with the bucket and money, wondering what could be wrong with Lillian. She left to attend to her kids after trying to make Lillian open the door without any success. Lillian sat on a chair as she remembered how her entire family disowned her over a decade ago for causing her father's death. It was a cold afternoon. Lillian's father got back earlier from work that day. He held the briefcase and Lillian hurried to get her father's suitcase. Her father hugged her as he gave her the suitcase, telling her to keep it safe. But she dropped the suitcase on the table in the sitting room and went back outside to meet her friends. All this while, her father was bathing in the bathroom and there was no one in the house, or so she thought. Minutes later, her father's loud voice put an immediate stop to what she was doing. She knew she was in big trouble since he rarely screams at the top of his voice unless something terrible has happened. Lillian rushed upstairs, but she met her father holding an empty suitcase and asking her where she kept the money that was in the suitcase. Lillian was surprised because she was sure that the money was there when she dropped the bag on the table. Now it's no longer there, and the question is who took the money. Her father was restless for the entire day. He kept asking Lillian where she kept the money, but she kept replying that she didn't take it. However, her mother pounced on her as she forced her to confess, but Lillian maintained her stance. Lillian was tortured for days by her parents, but nobody believed that she did not take the money. Lillian's father was giving the money at work to deliver to a client, but since the money went missing, her father was arrested, locked up and tortured in a police cell for 2 weeks before receiving a payment plan. After all efforts to receive the money from him proved abortive. "You have to pay dearly for stealing your company's money." The policeman in charge called him a thief. Even after explaining to him several times that someone else stole the money, Lillian's father cried as he sat inside his sitting room. He wondered how he would pay back the missing money from his small salary. His wife, Ma Lillian, was out that day selling her wares at a market close by. But Lillian had a heart attack, and before anyone could do anything to help, he fell to the ground. And by the time he was found, it was too late for the doctors to help him. Lillian remembered how her mother blamed her for her father's death and told everyone who cared to listen that she is an evil child who has brought grief to her home. Lillian would apologize to her mother many times. I'm very sorry, Mama. I did not steal the money. I didn't know the briefcase contained something valuable. I would have been more careful with it. Please forgive me, Mama. But her mother would yell at her and send her away in anger. Many times, she would refuse to give her food while she would watch her siblings eat. One night, her mother caught her sneaking inside the kitchen to eat after she refused to give her food for the entire day. She dragged her out of the kitchen and called her a thief and a murderer. She threw her things outside and asked her not to come near her family again. I don't ever want to set my eyes on you ever again, you this useless and worthless child. Lillian cried as she recalled how she was almost raped by a thug that night as she slept on a bench in an open space. She wondered what would have happened to her if she hadn't screamed for help that night. As she sat in her dimly lit room, staring at the ceiling, the events of the day weighed heavily on her, but nothing compared to the burden she had carried for over a decade. Her father's death, the disgrace that followed, and the hatred from her family still haunted her. Almost everyone around knows the story of the missing money and how it led to her father's death. She had accepted her fate, believing she was cursed. That night, hunger gnawed at her stomach, but she ignored it. She believed she doesn't deserve any kind of kindness. The following morning, just as she was preparing to step outside, there was a knock at her door. She hesitated before opening it slightly. It was Tito. You didn't take the money, Tito said, hiding the bundle in her hands. I figured you might not accept it easily, but I want to help you. Lillian looked away, ashamed. I don't deserve help, she murmured. Tito sighed. You say that a lot, but I don't believe it. She placed the money on a stool and left. As Lillian stared at the cash, memories of the past flashed before her. There was something she had never fully understood about that day. Who stole the money? Days passed and Lillian resumed her business. She still refused Tito's money, but Tito found ways to help, sometimes by buying all her tea and handing it out to strangers. Lillian began to realize that she genuinely cared for her and she reciprocated by giving her tea for free on many occasions. Tito is a teacher in one of the big schools in the neighborhood. When she initiated conversation with Lillian, she found out that she only has a secondary school certificate result. Lillian showed her the result and Tito was surprised. You really did great. Why didn't you go to the university after your secondary education? Tito asked. Lillian explained how her father died shortly after her secondary school education and the series of events that followed. Tito felt bad for her. Why wouldn't your mother believe you when you're not the only child? Did she ask other siblings if they stole the money? Lillian then explained to Tito that her mother never bothered to do her findings because she has made up her mind that she stole the money and killed her husband. Tito placed her hands on her shoulders. Lillian, I want you to know that it wasn't your fault that your father died. You have to forgive yourself. You kept the money in the sitting room, and if no one had touched it, your father would be alive today. So the fault is on the person who stole the money, not you. You did nothing wrong. Tito dabbed her teary face with a white handkerchief and drew her closer. After a while, Tito joked about Lillian's hair being unkempt, and they both laughed it off. Tito began to loosen her cornrows to make a new hair for her. From that day, their friendship grew stronger and stronger, and Tito became the family that Lillian never had. Why not go back to school or learn a skill? You're still young and have a lot of years ahead of you, Tito advised one afternoon. You can always sell your tea by the side if you're scared of losing your customers. Lina was grateful to Tito for the advice and she enrolled for a job. She passed in flying colors and got into the best university in the States. One evening, as Lillian walked home after a long day, she overheard a conversation from a barber shop nearby. She had sold tea for them earlier that day and was there to collect her money. They did not know that she was standing behind them. That boy don't hammer. Oh. Remember that money him you start business after him papa die? That money wey him thief na, him don't multiply am now. If you see the latest car wey him buy, eh? Who you dey talk about? Another asked. Who else? Chidi na, Mama Lillian only boy. Him go village last week go complete their family house. Lillian's blood ran cold, and the bucket of tea fell to the ground. She sat down on the floor, devastated. She could not imagine that Chidi, her brother, stole the money that killed her father and made their mother disown her. She staggered back, feeling as though the world was spinning. Chidi stole the money. That night, she could not sleep. For years, she had blamed herself for her father's death, but it was Chidi, her own brother. Days later, Lillian made up her mind to confront him. Chidi was now a successful businessman. He owned a large shop where he sold imported electronics. She always thought that he worked hard to make his money. It never occurred to her that he would be so mean to watch her suffer while he kept the money. She walked in, her presence drawing confused looks from his workers. Ha, Lillian, Chidi said, surprised. You came to see me? Lillian clenched her fist. Why did you do it? Chidi's expression changed. Do what? You stole the money, she eased. You let them blame me, and you let me suffer all these years. A smirk crossed Chidi's face. And what do you want now? An apology? You think I would have made it in life if I had not taken the money? He stepped closer to her now. You were weak, Lillian, always waiting for life to be fair. Well, life is not fair. Her hands shook with rage. Her father died because of you. She discovered, and so that was unfortunate, but it was bound to happen. We were struggling anyway. Tears welled up in her eyes. You destroyed me, Chidi. He leaned in, voice cold. And what can you do about it? Lillian turned and walked away, shaking. Tito found Lillian sitting outside her room that night, staring at the sky. What happened? Tito asked. Lillian told her everything. Tito was silent for a long time before replying. You need to tell your mother. She has to know. It's the reason why she disowned you. Lillian agreed and together they visited her mother during the weekend. When they got to Lillian's mother's place, she did not allow them to come inside. She told Lillian that she doesn't want to have anything to do with her again, and she asked her to stay outside while Tito explained Lillian's struggles over the years and how she found out recently that she stole the money. But her mother flared up and accused Lillian of trying to sow a seed of discord between her and her successful son. You don't cause issues between me and my successful son, you little witch. You're the reason I suffered so much. You killed my husband. But Lillian had had enough. She told her mother, I have told you countless times that I did not steal the money. Is that difficult for you to understand? Why have you refused to believe me? Do you hate me that much? Even after I told you that Chidi stole the money, you kept on saying I did. What do you want me to do, Mama? I want you to walk out of this house and never come back again. I don't ever want to see your face around me. Her mom had gotten up from her seat at this point and she walked towards Lillian. She whispered in her ears, I'll never forgive you for making me lose my husband. Chidi can never and will never steal his father's money. He is very hardworking and you are an evil child and a liar. Get out right now and never come back. At that point, Lillian knew there was nothing she could do to make her mother believe her. She decided that she was done begging and punishing herself for what she knew nothing about. She left the house and Tito followed immediately. While on the way, Lillian explained to Tito that she was very happy that her mother made her realize that her rage towards her was not because of the money or her husband's death. She has always treated me differently from my siblings, so I know now that she simply doesn't love me and didn't want to have me in her life. It's not about the money or her dead husband. When they got home, Chidi was standing at the front of Lillian's apartment. He asked to talk to her as Tito waited outside. Lillian, I did what I had to do for us to have better lives. Our father worked hard, but could never have met up with responsibilities at home. I know if I don't stay with the money, there was no way we'll be doing fine now. Lillian didn't say anything, so he continued. See, I'm ready to give you some of the money. You don't have to tell Mama. Here is a check of 5 million naira. Please, use it to start a new life and move on. I did what I did to help the family. Lillian got up and asked Chidi to leave. Please leave my house and never come back. Chidi hesitated for a while before he got up to leave. As he left, Lillian went to Tito and gave her a hug. Thank you for being the best family anyone could ever wish for. I appreciate it a lot. Once I'm done with my studies, I'll apply as a teacher in the school so we can spend more time together. The two women laughed as they held hands and talked about their dreams. The moral of this story is that sometimes the people whom we are related by blood may not be our family. It could be a complete stranger who would love us unconditionally and stick with us no matter what. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, leave a comment below and let me know what you think about the story. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.